whilst hang on, I think I had a fictional football question, not based on that. No, we'll stay on Arsenal because we're talking about them now. There has been a report from Miguel Delaney that they've made an offer for Gyökeres as well, and we spoke about that this morning. But in relation to Rodrygo to Arsenal, a lot of talk today and a lot of this is now coming from it's really interesting. The same Madrid press that a few weeks ago were saying he's going to stay, he's going to stay, he's going to stay. Don't even think about it. He's going to stay. And now talking about Madrid are now open to him leaving. I think Marca have said, and it's I bookmarked so many of these stories today because there was it felt like there was hundreds of them. This came out just before we went live from a few journalists in Madrid, where they said Real Madrid have set their price to sell Rodrygo at 90 million euros, which is 77 million. There's Marta have said there's a growing uncertainty surrounding his future at the club. There was some more this morning as well that I'm going to scroll down to here. This Sam Reports, who's a UK journalist, said that Arsenal's priority is a striker, and they're also trying to facilitate the deal for Rodrygo. I think it's Graham Bailey spoke about the done all the groundwork. They spoke to the camp. They're having initial conversations. So there are so many different sources now talking not just about Arsenal's link to Rodrygo, but in Spain saying that there's an uncertainty. He obviously didn't come on the pitch yesterday in their match. £77 million is supposedly the asking price. Should this be, Roy, Arsenal's main focus once they secure their number 9 striker? Is Rodrygo that guy at £77 million?
I feel like Rodrygo's a very, very curious case, in my opinion, because he's clearly a very good player. But the problem is, a lot of the time, he's been playing on the right wing for Real Madrid because they've had Kylian Mbappe or before they had Vinicius Jr. out there. So we've never really seen a consistent run of games in the left wing position. And I know a lot of people say he's a natural left winger, but if you don't play there a lot, then how are we really supposed to judge you as a left wing? As in, it can be your natural position all you want, but I can only judge based on what I've seen. And yeah, I've seen him play left wing a few times. He's had some very good games. He's had some not so good games. And I think this might be a tad unpopular, but I don't know if Rodrygo sometimes gets away with it because of the talent surrounding him. Because at Real Madrid, when you're playing with Kylian Mbappe, when you're playing with Vinicius Jr., when you're playing with Jude Bellingham, those three typically take up the limelight and the responsibility to score and create goals. And Rodrygo he's sort of just got very much of a secondary role where it's like he can chip in with goals, he can chip in with assists, but there's never really been an expectation of him to consistently score week in, week out. Obviously, that's what Madrid want from him. They want that from all of their players, of course. But I feel like coming to Arsenal, and like I said, I'm not saying he's a fraud or he's overrated or anything. It's just I'd be a little bit curious as to, can he perform now? The expectations are a lot more on him, and he doesn't, apart from maybe Bukayo Saka, he doesn't have someone to sort of take the burden off him like he does at Real Madrid. And like I said, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's obviously a very, very good player. And for £77 million, based on how he is right now and how he could be in a few years' time, then you kind of have to go for it, because realistically, he should probably be closer to 100. So if you can get him for maybe 60, 65 plus add-ons to take it up to the figure that Madrid won, then you kind of have to go for it. Like, personally, I think Arsenal should go for Rafael Leao. That's just my opinion. But Rodrygo, if he's available for that price and the other options aren't really wanting to leave or clubs won't let them go, etc., then you kind of have to take the punt, because you're in a win now position, and Rodrygo could very easily be someone who can help you win now.
I think they need to get Rodrygo. I think you could argue Rodrygo should be priority number 1, because very hard and not very often that players of that ilk become available. I feel at Real Madrid he's been the victim of, as you said, he's never been the main star, and he's been played on the right a lot, when I think he's more naturally a left winger. I think the moments when he's got to play off the left, when Vinicius hasn't been available, you've seen a different Rodrygo. The only real question would be, would he adapt to the Premier League? And I think he'd be fine with that. And I think what that gives Arsenal then is equal threat down the wings, because Arsenal, for the past 2 years, have been too right-hand side dominant. Everything they do goes down the right. If their fullback's attacking, it's Ben White or Timber. If their midfield is attacking, it's Odegaard drifting in on the right. If their wing is attacking, it's Bukayo Saka creating, shooting, whatever. If you add Rodrygo, all of a sudden there's a threat off the left that teams can't sort of abandon, for lack of a better term. Arsenal can become quite easy to deal with because teams don't rate their left wing options. If Trossard's off the left, teams are quite happy to double up on Saka and sacrifice someone on the right and go, I don't think that, for example, Calafiori, Mikel Merino and Trossard will hurt us as much as Odegaard, Timber and Saka would. So they double up on the right, leave the left. If you put Rodrygo there, teams can't afford to sit there and go, oh, we can sacrifice someone, because Rodrygo can kill you. Rodrygo is a very, very, very good footballer, and he's a very direct footballer. I think he's not the antithesis, but play style wise, it's a nice change from Saka. Saka's a bit more deliberate in the way he wants to go about it. He'll slowly size you up, take you inside or take you outside, whereas Rodrygo is direct in nature. He wants to beat his man, get a shot off, beat his man, get in and around the box, beat his man, make sure that he's in a position to score goals. That's Rodrygo, and I think that's the right balance to have. So if Arsenal can get a player, it's not very often that Real Madrid are forced into selling a player that they don't want to sell. I think in their ideal world, they don't let Rodrygo go because he's a very good footballer. So it's not very often that they are in this position. You need to capitalise when they are. Arsenal should be doing everything they can for Rodrygo, because if they don't, someone else will. Rodrygo, if Real Madrid are going to let him go, if Real Madrid set an asking price, he will leave Real Madrid this summer, because every other top club in Europe who is looking for a left winger or could be looking for a left winger will be all over that deal. Whether it be like Bayern Munich are looking for a left winger. If Arsenal are umming and ahhing and dillying and dallying, you tell me Bayern Munich won't walk in and go, here's your money, we'll have Rodrygo, and they take him. Because when we're talking about the left winger market at the minute, yes, Leao is potentially available, but there's question marks about his off the ball work and his defensive work. There are none of these questions for Rodrygo. Rodrygo is a tier above anyone else on offer. He's one of the ones who you just go plan out the window, go for it.
What I will say, just very, very quickly on that, is I suppose that's where Arsenal's advantage is right now, though. Nobody else has moved in for him. It's like the Šeško and the Gyökeres deal. I know their fans are... I keep getting a lot of shit from Arsenal fans for saying what I'm about to allude to again. I get you want the deal done because Liverpool are getting deals done. But if they're done in the next 2 weeks, Liverpool having them done a few weeks earlier before the players go on holiday will have zero impact. I agree with Arsenal fans that if all their deals get done 2 weeks into the season, the other end of that spectrum, Liverpool have an advantage because they've had a pre-season with some of these players, and that's true. But Arsenal are also in no rush because they're leading the race for Šeško. They've got Šeško. I know there's all these reports of these demands that he's making. I find really funny. The Arsenal fans who want Gyökeres and not Šeško, they're believing every single media outlet and by the way, they're allowed to. They're believing every single media outlet that's talking about the wage demands and the buyout clauses like it's gospel. But yet, if those same media outlets turn around and say something negative about a player they like, it's media's bullshitting, brother. I love how we as football fans work. We're beautiful, but I don't think they're in any rush yet. I don't think they're in any rush to just bow down to the first asking price that the club set, like this Chelsea example, because they're actually leading the race in this case. There's no one else even really linked to Rodrygo yet, only Arsenal. I do think he's an excellent player. I really do.